Welcome to Essential Ingredients, powered by Next Gen Purpose. EI serves up thoughtful conversations with industry leaders and pioneers who support a regenerative future for our food system. The stories shared by our guests are meant to spark curiosity and inspire informed global change. Good afternoon and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm your host, Justine Reichman. With me today is Ashley Albert, the co-founder of the Matzo Project. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you, Justine.
It's so great to have you here. I'm such a fan of the Matzo Project.
It's so fun. We've already had our own personal podcast before the podcast even. So we had a pre-podcast.
We had a pre-podcast. I don't know. I mean, do you think people would be interested in our pre-podcast? We could show highlights or blurbs, or what do they call those?
Like bloopers?
Bloopers.
I love it.
So for those that are not familiar with the Matzo Project, would you just share a little bit about it?
Sure. So matzah is, if you don't know, is a traditionally unsexy, unleavened cracker that Jewish people who are religious, and some who aren't religious, eat for the holiday of Passover, 1 week of the year, which is in April, usually late March, early April. And nobody likes it. It's when I ask people how to spell matzah, because we spell it M-A-T-Z-O, and I put on, like social media, like, how do you spell it, to try to get a consensus? Everybody was like C-A-R-D-B-O-A-R-D, D-R-Y, like they were very poor matzah, really went through the ringer. But, I had this idea to do an artisanal matzah because in the end, it's just like a good, neutral cracker. It's like the wind beneath the wing. We have yet to find something that you cannot put on matzah. It's really just like a delivery method. And my pitch is that it is more versatile than a pita chip, more flavorful than a water cracker, and more elegant than a saltine.
Wow, I like that. Well, my favorite, I have to say, I found you by accident the first time, as I told you, in Northern California, the Everything Matzah. Your branding, your packaging, the Everything Matzah. I was so surprised. I loved it.
It's funny. You mentioned Russ and Daughters in our pre-podcast. And originally we were going to do a pink Himalayan sea salt and pink peppercorn flavor, a strawberry flavor, and a rosemary lemon peel. And then I have another business. I have a nightclub, and Russ and Daughters was doing their Christmas party or their holiday party at the nightclub. And so I was talking to the owner and I was like, what do you think? Rosemary lemon peel matzah. And he said, you should make an everything matzah. That would go great. I'd love to serve that with my chopped liver. You have an everything matzah? And I was like, yeah, we do have an everything matzah. And then I was like, stop the presses. We got to do an everything matzah. And so we did the everything matzah, and then we sent it to them, and they never wrote me back. They totally ghosted us.
Come on, no way.
So we made the everything matzah just for him, and they never wrote back. I know.
Did you send it to him?
We sent it to him. We were like, here's the matzah. I don't know. Maybe it got eaten on the way or something. But why we have everything matzah? Otherwise, maybe we would never have met. So thanks, Russ and Daughters. Yes. Because if it was rosemary lemon peel, maybe you wouldn't have picked it up.
Rosemary lemon peel, I have to say, sounds really good too, but it sounds like other things I've had.
Yes.
Right? It sounds like those fancy crackers, but it sounds really good. Like when I think of that, I think goat cheese or like some spreadable, very elegant cheese. When I think of the everything matzah, I'm picturing salmon and cucumber and a little caviar on top. And to me, that feels very much in line with the everything bagel.
Yes.
So, yeah. And I could see serving that, some of the Jewish holidays, or chopped liver on top, or some schmear.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like for people who have grown up with matzah, but don't have the people who aren't interested in us are the really religious people. Like when we're at a trade show and they walk by and we're like, would you like to try some matzah? They're like, I have enough matzah, thank you. Like they don't like matzah. But people who just feel either a natural affinity towards it because it feels like cozy and home and family, or have never heard of it and just start trying it, like they're like, is it matcha? What is it? What's it made of? Matcha? It's made of matzo balls? They ask that all the time. Is it, so it's made of matzo balls? We're like, no. The matzo balls are made of it. matzo balls are made of it. But so they don't eat it. You know, my staff at my nightclub just walks around eating the dry matzah. And I'm like, this, what do you can't eat it that way. That's not how we eat it. But they don't know. They're just like, oh, it's delicious. You know, they just eat it like a cracker. Italy. Do you guys have Italy?
Yeah. Well, they do in San Jose now. I haven't been to that one, but because I'm from New York and I lived on 22nd Street, Italy was in my backyard.
So they used our matzah on their like wine and cheese plates, not as matzah, but as just like a giant sort of like bold cracker, you know? So
I could see that because, those long, thin, I don't know what they call them, but they put them on things when you get like prosciutto and as a carrier for all these different things.
Yeah.
So that's great. And what a great place to be, Italy, right? Like that is, I mean, what a place. They choose only the best of the best, from the cheeses to the meats to the crackers.
And you can't believe how many people go to Italy. Like the exposure that we got from just being there. I had no idea they had that much traffic going through, but we would hear about it all the time. It was amazing.
And what I find so interesting is that, I naturally think of matzah as something that I eat at the holidays, but you've elevated it and you've expanded the brand to something that people can eat and enjoy outside of Passover or Rosh Hashanah, when you're putting, what are the apples and honey, the maror on top of it? For those that don't know what maror is, I think it's apples and honey and walnuts or something, right? Isn't that what we make?
Horseradish involved?
Oh, maybe that's for harosa. I don't even know the names.
Yeah, we were talking about.
You got the idea, right? The harosa. So that's Passover too, though. But when you put all the stuff on it,
right? It's a Hillel sandwich, right? When you do the two with it's horseradish and like an appley thing, and it's like the sweet and the bitter of life. It's very symbolic.
There you go. Aren't you knowledgeable? You told me you're not so Jewish.
Well, now I'm like, I'm part of the like Jewish elite now. It was so funny because people, I get invited, the rabbi who like is the Orthodox Union rabbi for our matzah has invited me over to have like a Seder at his house. And I usually wear kind of low cut things. And I just lucked out that I happened to have something slightly more modest on, because it didn't occur to me till I was already like well into Brooklyn before I thought, oh my God, I think I'm supposed to be completely covered. And oh my God, so I just got lucky. But like, what do I know? I'm like a Jew from Miami. I always say that I'm a bacon on sale Jew, which might be
oh my God. I remember years ago, I was dating somebody that was, we were both Jewish, but he was a bit more observant. And he used to take me to services on the Upper West Side.
Oh, wow.
Like Shomer Shabbos, they were Shomer Shabbos. He wasn't originally, but like, as he got more religious. And so we went to these services and they separated men and women. Now I come from Reform. Okay. And you don't have to wear long skirts. You don't have to cover your shoulders. You can drive to synagogue. So we get to synagogue and it was snowing out. And I live on 22nd Street and the synagogue's on 86th Street. And somebody says, oh, it must have taken you forever to get here today. And I was like, pardon me? We drove.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to be rude.
Yeah.
Or disrespectful. And she's like, oh, you drove here? I didn't realize that, I mean, it's not that I didn't realize, but like, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but of course I drove. It's my reality, right?
I also shake your hands. I'm always like, hi, nice to meet you. Oh, no, sorry.
Right. So culturally, we just I learned to be very, mindful of the different sects, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how did you did voiceovers. Yeah. You had a nightclub because this was your long-term plan, your retirement plan. Mm-hmm. And then you got into matzah. So you weren't a first-time entrepreneur, obviously, but how did you get into matzah and the CPG world?
So we were talking a little bit before about how your special talent is like connecting people and sort of seeing, bringing the strings together. And my special talent is like honing the edges of ideas. Like if you tell me something that you're thinking of, I can tell you how to monetize that thing. It's just like the thing I can do. And so lots of people come to me for advice when they have an idea. Usually I mishear their idea. And then I tell them that like, oh, this is great. And you could do this, and you could do that. And they're like, oh, that's not what I meant. I'm like, oh, well, forget that. This is the thing you should do. So anyway, my summer camp friend, Kevin, who I've known forever and ever, over the years had come to me with a bunch of different, really good ideas, but big, when you come up with something, you have to really commit to manifesting that thing. And if you've never done it before, it can feel super overwhelming. He thought about doing an urban nursing home. He thought about doing a coffin company. He thought about doing an interior.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Just circle back for a second.
That might have been my idea. I feel like that was maybe
company.
It's right for a redo. I was just talking about that the other day. Don't steal this idea, listeners, but I really feel like I could do like a hip funeral home. The funeral homes that are out there now are like this. It's a long time ago's idea of fancy and classy. It's not today's generation's version.
Minimalistic and regenerative, and it should be recycled.
Who knows? It could be a lot of different things, but I feel like it's just not aligned with who we are today. I don't want to be in like a wood paneled velvet, place with, brocades. So anyway, he came to me and he said, I think I want to start a gelato company. And I was like, Kev, I have never needed gelato and couldn't find it. I have never had a gelato emergency. Like, this is not a problem that needs solving. The world has their gelato already. And he was like, oh, but I found a guy in Italy I can apprentice with, and I think it's a really good idea. And I said, okay, we're going to go around to every gelato store that we can think of in New York for the day. And if at the end of the day, you can tell me what you would do differently, then I will help guide you towards gelato success. So like a rainy February, and we walked around and it was tumbleweeds. We didn't see, I don't think the whole day, we probably didn't see anybody buy gelato. We didn't buy gelato. We just went and looked and we left. It was not a gelato kind of day. So anyway, at the end of the day, he was like, I can't open a gelato company. I was like, no, it's a terrible idea. No, you cannot open a gelato company. And then just out of nowhere, I remembered an idea that I had had 20 years earlier for a next door neighbor whose family was getting rid of their pizza business. And they had this pizza oven and they lived on City Island. And I was like, you should keep it and make the City Island matzo factory. I don't know. This was my big idea. She had maybe the best job of anybody ever in the whole world. She wrote the tiny 2-sentence synopsis of movies for New York Magazine. So just like this delightful romp starring Paul Rudd, could have falls flat when it could have soared, or whatever it is, like just tiny bit of opinion, tiny bit of, it was pretty great. So she didn't need to start a matzo company. She was like, that's a great idea. Not doing that. So 20 years later, it had just been like macerating in the back of my brain somewhere. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was like, oh, you should start an artisanal matzo company. I can't believe that in 20 years, nobody's ever done it. I can't believe since I had the idea, still nobody has ever done it. You should do that. And he said, yes, I love it. Great idea. Okay. And I was like, goodbye. See you later. Send me a box. Call me. And then he went home and he started like rolling out dough and making different versions of it with different fancy salts and different fancy oils and different fancy flours. And he would bring me, drop off at my house, little brown paper bags that were numbered. And I would eat it like a matzo czar and be like, more flour, less oil, different salt. And he kept working on it. And then I was like, this is it. And so we found the recipe. And then he was like, okay, now what? Like, he didn't actually know what the idea, he knew it was a good idea, but he didn't quite know what the idea was. And I was very clear on what the idea was. I knew exactly what the packaging should look like. I knew where it would go in the store. I know who would buy it. I just knew. And so I was like, okay, I will get you started, but then I'm out. And then now I got too far. I got too involved.
I can kind of see you in the packaging.
Yeah, you feel, well, that's the thing. Kevin and I, so we went to summer camp in North Carolina, as did you.
I'm familiar.
But we grew up in South Florida and we had nearly identical South Florida style grandmas. So it's very easy to come up with all of the copy because we just sit around and think of what our grandmothers would actually say. It's like very authentic. Like we have these chocolate ungapachkis and, she has a different talk bubble everywhere. And the one from there says, get them away from me. Because that's what my grandmother would definitely say. If there was something very delicious, she'd be like, get them away from me. So like things like that we just are like, yep, that's what she would say. And it's easy to write it. So yeah. Oh, I'll tell you a quick story about that.
Okay.
Somebody sent, we get a lot of beautiful fan mail from people. It's like the product is a good product on its own, but somehow it touches people in a really interesting, different kind of sentimental way. And we get so much incredible fan mail. And we got a note from this girl who said, you know, I work in marketing and I just had to write you and say, I have never seen better branding. Your packaging blew me away. You are so incredible. You know, I'm Jewish, I'm not religious, but like I felt like my family was speaking to me directly through your packaging. And usually when someone sends us a really nice note, we'll send them some matzah. You know, we'll send some matzah to their house as a thank you.
Is everybody listening to this?
It has to be really nice.
Taking notes here.
So we sent her some matzah and she took it with her to her family's house. And her grandmother said, you know, this is your cousin Ashley's matzah. It was her family talking to her from the box. Yeah, I mean, we nailed it.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so great. Oh my goodness. So you never thought you'd be in matzah?
No, definitely not. Definitely.
How long was that process, by the way?
So we did, you know, we did the gelato thing. Maybe he spent 2 weeks bringing over stuff. And then, you know, because I own this nightclub, people will take meetings with me. So I sort of went like, try to feel it out. Like, is anybody going to buy this? And I went and met with like 4 different grocery stores, buyers, and all 4 buyers were like, great. Okay. So we'll take like, I don't know, maybe like 4 cases of each flavor to start. And we were like, okay, let's, thank you. We'll be right back. And then I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We were
gotta make matzah.
Like a pasta roller with like Kevin's wife, like soldered together pizza cutters. Somebody else was putting dots on it. It was a very hands-on process. People are like, did you get video of that? I was like, who had time for video? Who had time for video? Like, we were barely surviving. But so I was like, okay, we're not going to be able to fulfill 4 boxes of each. At that point, we had 3 flavors. We had cinnamon, sugar, everything, and salted. And so I went back to them and I said, listen, we're going to make as much as we can make. This was in preparation for Passover.
What year was this, by the way?
2017.
Okay.
And so I said, we're going to make as much of it as we can make. And when it runs out, it runs out. And then I got a little bit of press and people were waiting in line before they opened. And all 4 stores were sold out by 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
and we were
God.
like, okay, people want this now. Okay. So then we got serious and we moved from, we were doing it in a little commissary kitchen. We moved to like a kosher bakery in Coney Island. We were still doing it by hand, but now we were doing it with like much bigger ovens and more sophisticated equipment, still very labor intensive. And then we got asked to do the James Beard Seder.
Well done. Congratulations.
You know, we were like, oh, we'll make matzo chips. So like, we're just making stuff up as we're going along here. And so we made the matzo chips, which was really the original matzo chips, didn't look anything at all like our current matzo chips. And then we went to the fancy food show, which is in June. And we got there and we were like the bells of the ball and everybody wanted to order from us. And we were like, no, we still can't. We can't do this. We can't fulfill any orders. No, we were still not ready. So we told everybody, give us 6 months. And we took those 6 months to like really scale up to like, now we really can feed the entire world with matzah. No one will ever run out of matzah as long as we are in business. We work in a giant, pristine cracker factory. It's not our factory, but it's a factory. And then we, we launched like January 2018, like New Year's Day. We were like, okay, we're ready. And we just shipped it all out. And here we are.
That's amazing. So out of curiosity, what's Kevin's background?
So Kevin, he's a Cuban Jew, Kevin Rodriguez.
The Cuban.
And he he became like an interior designer. Like he got his degree in interior design. He worked for Vera Wang for a long time, doing her like wedding suites, doing furniture and stuff for her and that kind of thing. But he never really like found his thing. So that's why he and his wife is Chinese. He's like, we're going to start a hand-pulled noodle company. He really loves food. He's like super meticulous. He's like the kind of person who takes like 40 minutes to make his coffee in the morning. You know what I'm talking about? Like his like weird, like grinder, for one of a kind, never seen before grinder, and he individually shines each bean in the sunshine before he lays it. Like he really likes to do things very beautifully. He just has like impeccable taste, but he's also like the menschest of all menschy guys. He's the nicest, sweetest, kindest, most gentle, wonderful person. And so, yeah, like he knew he wanted to do something with food. But again, being someone who's so meticulous, it's hard to start something when you want to be that careful about it, because you don't take the risk and get messy and see what happens.
Right.
As you can probably tell from my side of things, okay, things really messy. I'm like, here's what we're going to do. So we're a nice compliment to each other, because then he comes in and just sort of like smooths out the edges of everything after I've thrown it together and walked away.
No, that's amazing. That's great. And you also have the business sense and the business acumen, and you've run other businesses, and now you're in the matzo business, which you never dreamt of. But
yeah, and he really runs the show in terms of like operations. He's like learned so much, and now I think is like a very knowledgeable, like seasoned guy. Like now we've been doing it for 5 or 6 years, something like that, and he like really knows his stuff. Now people come to him for advice about how to start a brand. And when we started, I got like 2 books on Amazon that were like how to start an artisanal food brand. And one of the things that it said was that you have to decide whether you want to be a manufacturer right away, if you want to be a manufacturer or a marketer. And if you want to be a manufacturer, then you have to go open your own factory. Right. And that means, employees and lights and machinery and that kind of thing. If you want to be a marketer, you find somebody else that you pay to do that part, and you focus on building the brand. And so we knew right away that we wanted to be marketers, not manufacturers. And that was really great to have that from the get-go and understand how to go down that path. And so we can really, if they want to know how to be manufacturers, we don't have much to tell them. But if they want to be marketers, we can go down that path.
Did you have a lot? Now, do you feel like your experience in Royal Palms and et cetera set you up to be a marketer?
I think that in general, I am like a little bit of I'm a good hype man when it's something I'm really excited about anyway. I'm also the lead singer of a marginally successful rock band for children. And so, so when that happened, I feel like in general, I think you have to be really proud of the thing that you made. And then it's not, marketing now feels so like slimy, where I feel like for me, marketing is like, I feel like I'm doing somebody a favor when I'm like, check that out. I'll talk to you later. I don't feel like, oh, if you could just try my matzah, I just feel like, let me give you some matzah. I feel like, and I think that's the way you have to market. You have to feel so excited about your brand. And I think that the projects that I've done so far have all been that for me. So yes, I think in long, the answer is yes.
And so I'm curious, so you have how many different flavors now?
We have a harissa flavor, a salted and everything, and a cinnamon sugar in like flats and chips. And then we do a cinnamon sugar bite that's on JetBlue, like in the little snack packs.
I was just on JetBlue.
Oh, yeah, we're party pack number 4. Like if there was ever a question about whether or not like matzah could be a year-round snack, like we're not in the special secret kosher snack pack. We're with the like M&Ms and beef jerky and Swedish fish and cheese crisps. It's like a legitimate snack in there, which is really exciting.
That's great. Yeah. I love the fact that you're on the airplanes as a snack.
I know. Yeah.
That really is awesome. So, when you look forward, what are some of the other kinds of places you see yourselves?
So, we've said no much more than we have said yes so far. We got an order from Walmart for $250,000 pretty quickly after we first started. And we were like, no, we cannot do that. We're going to get on their shelves and off of their shelves. Walmart's customer does not know about us, and they don't want to know about us yet. And we're just not going to be able to do it. Oh, that just reminded me of something. I got to remember. I got to write back to the Shark Tank people who I've like blown off. But I just realized that he sent me another note, like, you ready? And I didn't even write him back to say.
Let's talk about that. Is Shark Tank, do you see Shark Tank in your future? Like, have they approached you?
They have. And I think for me, I think it's a great idea for our brand, because when you see a brand that you've learned about on Shark Tank, and you buy it, it's like buying, it's like getting its autograph. Like you're like, I saw it on TV, and then buying it is sort of like participating in the show in a really interesting way. I just don't think that we're ready for it. What I really don't want is for us to go up there and them to do like a thing where they ask us a question and then they edit it out so it looks like there's crickets chirping and we look like blindsided. You know how sometimes they do that,
Yeah.
and I like really am afraid that they're going to do that to us about something. I'm like, I can't. There has to be. I got to wait until I can handle that kind of mockery.
Well, I think, I don't know how flexible they are with their agreements. They probably are very buttoned up and have limited ability for you to make revisions. I'm
Say
gonna
no
guess,
crickets.
right? But I would imagine that you're pretty seasoned with this. You know how to respond, you know how to make those comments and present yourself. But my question to you with that is, would you be going there because what would your agenda be? Would it be just to get yourself in front of it, to potentially get money, or really just to get the attention, the press, regardless?
I think for us, I mean, obviously, if we didn't get a deal, it would still be an incredible chance to educate people who've never heard of matzah, that this is for matzah for the people. It's not just a religious thing. It's not just
for the people. I love that. Matzah for the people.
But we've never taken any money. So Kevin and I have just sort of funded it ourselves, and everything we've made, we've just put right back into it. We've never taken a dime out of the company. Like everything we make, we've just put back. So, and it would be nice, I think, for Kevin to make some money eventually from it. But I think more as we grow, we're starting to see a lot more things that we're not able to do because we don't have capital behind us. When you go into a grocery store, you have to give free fill, which seems like it's just free fill as product. But you go into 200 stores and they want free fill a case of every product you have. That's like 1,000 cases that you're giving away for free. And it's really prohibitive.
Yeah.
So we could use the money, but more than that, we just have been really lucky and won it so far. But I feel like we could really use some guidance now about where to go next. Like
we have human capital now.
Yeah, I think that it would be
the financial capital, human capital.
Yeah, and I think that's something that maybe those three things together is what Shark Tank probably offers. It's expensive money. I could go raise cheaper money somewhere else. And I probably could find some human help somewhere else, but sort of that trifecta of the marketing and the exposure and the help and the money, I think together might be worth it, but not in exchange for crickets and tumbleweeds.
Right. Oh my gosh. And so, if you were to get the human and the financial capital, I'm curious, in your head, do you have an idea, a vision for next, where you see yourselves going? Any ideas, use new concepts?
Well, so first, we haven't gone into big grocery stores. So far, we've been in lots of little specialty stores. We're going into Whole Foods Global, and we've been in Whole Foods for a long time, and now we're going into all the Whole Foodses. So that's our biggest grocery store, but it's almost time to go into the Stop and Shops and that sort of thing. And I think if we did that sort of thing, we would need a lot more marketing first. You can't do that stuff without marketing. You need to do the free fill. You need to do promotions and coupons. And there's just a lot of that stuff. My dream is to go into the deli section, the section where they have the bagel chips and the brownie brittle, and it's the land of misfit toys. It's where nothing belongs anywhere else. They just throw it there. So I really would love to be, I feel like that's where we're gonna, if we're in the kosher section, people who are shopping for us are not shopping in the kosher section, and people shopping in the kosher section are not shopping for us. They want to put us there because it's exciting to have one new thing among all the things. But so that, and then we're also, we're not kosher for Passover. And that's not a problem for a lot of people, but there definitely are people who are you have a matzah company and you don't have anything that's kosher. How is that even possible? So we're thinking about doing a limited edition commemorative tin, matzah shaped tin with a different grandma of the year every year. And then, and here's where your listeners could come in handy, we got to put something in it. I haven't figured out what, because we could collaborate with a matzah company in Israel and put their matzah in it, or gluten-free matzah, but it's yucky. And I don't want people to eat that matzah and then think
Right.
that that's the matzah we make all year, or
Right.
eat it like this tastes just like all the other matzah. It's just too risky.
What about doing something that's not matzah?
Yes, exactly. We need something
Because
that's not matzah.
because if it's matzah, right?
No,
then
yeah.
you're right. But if you were to do something like, okay, and I'm just throwing this out there, I'm not suggesting it, but you know how they have those, what are those orange slices? And I'm just using this as an
Yes,
example,
yes.
right? Something like that, or the chocolate covered almonds, or, you know,
Exactly.
those are the things that we eat, right?
Right.
So at that time of year. So if you did something like that,
That's the idea, is to have the box so that it feels giftable and you can put your yucky matzah in it until Passover's over, and then you can use it for our matzah after that. But I haven't quite figured out what the thing is. I think it does have to be a candy item maybe, or it can be, you know, we make this matzo ball soup kit. We could do like soup for a group and do
I
like
like that.
but then you can't, if you bring it to a party,
Oh, you
you
can't
can't
do it.
enjoy it there, right? It's like, then you make it and you give it to them for later. So if it was a box that had something in it that you could actually enjoy then and there, I feel like that's the thing. I was saying maybe chocolate covered potato chips.
That's good. I think maybe we should throw this out to our listeners.
Yeah. What do you think?
And our viewers to put suggestions in the comments. If you're listening, if you're viewing, throw out suggestions.
Yeah, it just can't have, you can't rise. It can't have any yeast in it.
No, it can't be
It's much
leavened.
easier- Yeah, it can't be leavened. And it's pretty easy to make things kosher for Passover that aren't things like matzah. So I think it's a little bit less stringent of a process if there isn't any flour in it, ideally no flour. And what else can't be in it?
I think the question is like, what's your favorite Passover treat that you get or that you eat on the holidays that maybe Ashley can collaborate with?
Or is there something that you have a feeling could be kosher for Passover, but you haven't had as a Passover treat? Like, I think sponge, like honeycomb sponge. I don't know why, but I somehow think that that's kosher for Passover, even though it absolutely rises. It's got like baking soda in it. But I was like, oh, chocolate covered sponge could be delicious. Macaroons, good. But again, hard to make delicious if we're not making it our central thing. Like, I feel like we work with the chocolatier already because we have the ungapachkis.
Right.
So I don't know. We got to, but that's our next big product.
Okay, this is our ask to our listeners and our viewers. Yeah. We want to hear from you. So, I want to tell them about our giveaway too.
Oh yeah, please do.
Okay. No.
I'm telling you. I'm like, go right ahead.
I want you to tell them about our giveaway.
We're gonna send some lucky listener,
either or, because we have
some lucky subscriber. A Matzo Project mini Megillah, which is a box delivered to your door with a little bit of all of the things that we make. So there'll be some harissa chips and some cinnamon chips and some salted chips and maybe some everything flats and some matzo ball soup and, sort of get a little bit of everything to try.
So I just want to make sure that everyone has access to the Matzo Project and can get it in time for Passover. Yeah. So would you just share with us where everybody can find and buy the Matzo Project?
You can always get it at matzoproject.com, MATZO, Matzo Project. And I mean, in specialty, like beautiful jewel box, like cheese shops and specialty stores all around the country, and Whole Foods and Amazon, if you must.
Okay, well, we're going to add it to our Amazon shop.
Yeah. So
everyone can get it.
Oh,
so
perfect.
Stay tuned. We'll make sure that it's there for anyone that's here. And we have our giveaway coming up, so make sure you stay tuned for those instructions so you can win the amazing giveaway for your Passover. And it was so great to chat with you. And
thank you so much.
Wait to connect when you are here soon.
Yeah, I'll see you in April.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
To learn more about these episodes and access show notes, go to nextgenpurpose.com and choose podcast. If you like this episode, head to Apple Podcasts or your favorite platform to subscribe and leave us a review. Visit the Next Gen Purpose YouTube channel to subscribe to our EI videocast and give this episode a like while you're there. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Next Gen Purpose and connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Justine_Reichman. Thanks for joining us.